Welcome to another edition of Birds of a Feather. It's your girl AJ, the Suburban Princess here, back with 5 questions. There is one person I have always wanted to talk to, but she's not in the same state with me. So this is a big commitment that I get her, a busy woman as she is. But I'm thankful that she came on today because this is my girl I haven't seen in years, ages. Please welcome my buddy Emma. How are you, girl?
I'm like waiting for the applause. Hey!
I know eventually I'll get to the point where I'll put it in. All right. So basically, everything with 5 questions with you and all the people I've interviewed is just basically kind of at the top, open-ended questions. So after this, if there's something you don't want to answer, which I'm sure you know me, I'm not going to ask you crazy stuff on air. You want to throw something my way?
Just behind the scenes.
Look, I'm mindful of a lot of stuff that I wouldn't want you to ask me. So, but the first question that I'm going to throw at your way, because it's been so long, 2020, with you being a mom to an adorable boy, how was 2020 for you in a word that you could describe? Because 2020 was for everybody. I'm giving you a minute because everybody needs time.
Yeah, a word. There's two that I'm coming up with actually. Not just one. One was patience. I think everybody felt that a lot. Just patience with knowing what was going on, patience with the people that maybe that they were stuck in quarantine with. And also patience with themselves. It put a lot of people's, especially mine. I had just decided in January to really go full in to pursue photography as a career. And then, of course, things were starting to pick up a little bit. And then March came and then everything just closed, which was very frustrating to have my momentum just halted completely. So I would say patience is one, a huge word. I mean, I think that just goes like for so many aspects of 2020. And everything, of course, with, there was the racial discourse and social justice and the election and just a lot of patience required to get through a lot of what happened in 2020. And out in California, we had a lot of fires in the fall, which was like pretty terrible as well. So I would say patience is definitely a strong word. Another one for me was acceptance. I think a lot about like accepting just what was happening and just knowing that there's not much that is in my control when it comes to COVID and all the lockdowns and the curfews that we were put on and all that kind of stuff. So those are two big words for me, I think, that kind of describe 2020.
Yeah, the funny thing about it is Questlove, who I listened to when they started doing I call the online club on IG that got me through sleepless nights. Questlove called
I remember that in the very beginning.
Yes, D Nice started it. It started out just being on his page, and then it got worldwide, and then it became a source for fundraising for those who were stressed out from not having work and stuff like that. It became a political run for Biden. So it became a whole nother thing. But Club Quarantine is the late night IG that I listen to where D Nice puts all the old school, new school in there. And for people like me who are insomniacs, it came in handy. But Questlove called it adults being on punishment, basically. And I felt that's what we were. We were like on punishment for the administration at the time not doing their duty before 2020 started and trying to get this thing figured out. And we probably would have been.
There was no sort of leadership.
No leadership. And I thought about you too when they were fired. So it's funny you bring that up because I don't know how many times, if it wasn't for local celebrities who were driving and showing the fires and what it was like going to the studio, or if they were home and people got evacuated, it affected all sorts of life in California. So I always worry about you, whether it's the earthquakes or not. Not even just you, Remy, other people out I know in the West Coast area. And I'm glad that you have no really crazy stories to tell me. I mean, unless I haven't heard any, but you pretty much.
No, I mean, where we live, we're pretty protected from the fires because we're on the west side, so we're very close to the water.
Gotcha.
But the fires were more inland, and a lot of times have been like lately more north.
Okay.
So, I mean, some have touched fairly close, but nothing. It's more like the air quality where we're not supposed to be going outside, or especially taking anyone like, sensitive groups or whatever however they call it, which is definitely kids. So being stuck inside with a toddler is brutal and kind of my worst nightmare. So that's why we flew to the East Coast in the end of September and early October, was to go see my mom and stay with her.
Right.
So
I know I missed you that trip, but I remember staying with you that brief time, what, 2-3 years ago, and I smelled from
it was 2017.
Oh, that was
in December.
Them being the Super Bowl year, but I just knew that from the few times that I was with you outside, I was like, holy crap, and this isn't even that close. And I felt like there were times where my sinuses just went, I felt totally dry, So
yeah, it's very dry.
Like, oh God. I mean, other than just being able to escape to the beach just cause, and the beautiful skyline, I can't see the advantage of being in that situation all the time. Like, it must be a regular habit.
Do you remember we went to, there's a bar to watch the Eagles game down underneath the pier called Big Dean's, and then we were walking back after the Eagles, they won that game.
Yes.
But Carson Wentz blew out his knee.
That was the beginning of the end, even though it started the Super Bowl. Yeah.
That was, and that's the sunset that we had walking home was gorgeous.
It was like the fire sunset. It was so many colors, and I remember every time I see a picture of anything in Santa Monica or anything like where we were, I was just like, oh my God, that's what it looked like that day. But yeah, it was hard to breathe, and felt like a lot of like, I was just feeling like my throat a lot. But it's beautiful to watch. I mean, I would love to be on the beach and I could just take a hike on there. But moving on to that, not only you being a mom, out of all of us single gals now at this point, not envious, but at the same time envious because I haven't seen the baby since he's a baby. So
I know.
And I miss him to death. But at the same time, what has being a mother taught you, being a mother to Indy, as far as, like you said, I mean, obviously you have to keep the toddler busy, but what are the things that you feel like you've learned in the past year or two of his life as a mother?
Yeah, so he is just over 2. He turned 2 in November, and now it's March, so he's like 2 and I don't know, what is that, 3 months, 4 months? So it's crazy. God, what has he taught me? A lot of things. I would say I'm definitely more mindful of the smaller moments that are really exciting, because when you're with a kid, it is like seeing everything for the first time again. So just more mindful of like the things that are for us are like meh, but like we took him on the train the other day because we went for a really long walk, and I was like not feeling walking all the way back with him. And I was like, let's just hop on the train. And for him, it was like a huge deal.
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice to just see that there are like little moments that we take for granted as adults, or we don't really pay attention to. But when you do it, when I do it with Indy, it's a lot more fun,
What does he feel like he's more like so far, personality wise, you or Daniel?
Oof. I don't know. He's like really energetic, which I know I was as a kid from stories that I hear, but maybe still am. But Daniel, I'm sure, was as well. But he's really into building things and like the mechanics of how things work. So I would say it's definitely a dad trait.
Yes.
So, and he's like a little bit more cautious than I think I was. Like I think he's definitely leaning more towards maybe Daniel. I know I was not cautious as a kid at all. So he's adventurous, but he's like a little bit more of a tiptoer, and I'm more of a dive head first.
Yeah. So now I want to transition back to you when you were growing up, because if anybody knew you, it's like night and day now. Because I feel like you said, you were energetic, but it's like, to me, you're still energetic. You do a hell of a lot more, even as a mom, than I would ever do. Energy wise. What if you could look back at, like, say, your teenage to Emma now? What would your advice be to that girl as she's getting older? Like, what would you say now? Just be like, yo, girl, don't do this, or do more of that.
Yeah. I would say do more creative work. I talk about this with Jen all the time. I was pretty discouraged from being creative when I was younger. Like actually just in like my art classes, like I had art teachers, the type that would like take this obviously affected me because I still remember it. They would take my work and erase what I did and redo it for me. So like I just never thought that I was creative at all. Like I just thought I had no artistic skill whatsoever. And I think that that's really false. I think that everyone's artistic and everyone's creative. It's just learning how to tap into it,
right?
And learning kind of how to like for me as a kid, you don't know any better, but just having those people who can like foster it and pick out what you are good at, even if it's not necessarily like recreating a drawing, but maybe you have this sort of technique or this skill and kind of honing in on those skills. So I would say kind of leaning more into creativity, because I had a photography class in high school and I hated it because the teacher never taught us anything. He was basically just like a body to fill up the classroom because they couldn't find anybody else or they didn't want to hire anyone else.
Right.
So it's kind of a bummer when I think about it, like how much I could have learned in that time. And then I got discouraged. So I would say for me, tapping into the creative a little bit more.
Well, your photography is
kind
awesome.
of like,
I think you're very talented. So it's amazing that you say that, because it's like, there's one thing about you that, and I'm sure your husband, Jennifer, would agree to, is that you are an amazingly oh God, I don't even words escape me. I feel like I want to say something totally smart, but it's not coming to me. But I just feel like there was always something about you that I'm like, yo, like I just feel like there's always been things about you that I've never seen all of it yet, because I've never really been, you and me, we're close, but I don't think, obviously not as close as me and Jen as your cousin. But I feel like there's been more sides to you that I probably was about to find out before life changed. You moved to California and now you're a mommy and married and everything. And I think that the more and more I've watched you grow up, I guess you'd say, because social media, that's all I've had now is more than pictures.
I know, but you've known me for 20 years. Did you know that?
It's weird because the more and more I think about it, me and Jen met like 2001, so that is weird. But I feel like I feel like more I know you more now, which is weird because I haven't seen you in about a year or so. But I feel like I know you more now than ever. And it's funny you said you weren't allowed to tap into your creative, because I feel like that's been part of the reason why I feel like I'm in awe of you now. Like I'm like, she's amazing. She's a mom. She's this. I mean, I feel like everything you do, you're like, you do it and you do it so well. Without, and I know it's work. I'm not trying to make you sound like a god or something, but I just feel like you have less boundaries. You're just freaking amazing. You don't have boundaries, and I think that's what I'm trying to get at. I think it's funny that you were kind of
that's
experience. And I don't feel like.
Well, thank you. That is like the best compliment.
Yeah, you definitely wear the motherhood well, honey.
Thank you. I think like when you're in your 20s, first of all, I was in a long-term relationship. You don't really know. I mean, I didn't really do self-exploration. That wasn't a thing then, you know? Yeah. Well, that was what, like 17, 18 years ago. So no, back in like the early 2000s, there wasn't all this like therapy online and via social media, because social media wasn't a thing. But also like I am still someone who's just very much go about my business, and I don't need to I tend not to make a big deal about things, even if they are a big deal. Yes. I don't know. That's just the way that I've always been. It might be a big deal to me, but I'm not going to make it a big deal for everybody else. So I think probably that's why it feels like we could hang out and have fun, but it wouldn't be maybe on a deeper connection.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
Because it's just that like why would I bring Alina into this? Because it's not her thing, and it's just like I was I'm very, you know how I am, independent. So
You're very independent. But I
so
mean,
I would
I
just
feel like
felt
that's
like
a
I can
blessing
handle it
though.
on my own, and it's for me to figure out, and that's all.
Well, I think
So,
it's because you're,
but
you know,
yeah, and it's been, and through the creative process, of course, like I learn a lot about myself, and through being a mom, you learn a shit ton when you become a parent about yourself. Even just being pregnant, you know.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what that experience. That was my next question, because I was going to say, what is the actual experience of being pregnant like it at a time in your life where you're probably just like, okay, this is happening. Now what? You know, were there moments where you were scared, like, don't roll over, I don't want to hurt the baby? Like, were you totally a fish out of water, or did you kind of just take each day as it came?
So, Indy, like, I don't know if I should share this, but Indy wasn't exactly planned. Okay. So there was a moment when I was like, I remember I was getting into the car and I was like, this is happening. Like, this happened and this is happening. I was maybe like 3 months pregnant. So like, you're not showing, nobody knows, you know, unless you tell them. And I was like, okay, like, we're just going to roll with it and see kind of what happens. And yeah, there were definitely moments where I was like, you know, he's not kicking as much as he normally is. Is there something wrong?
Yeah.
But I never had like any huge, not that I can remember anyway, but who knows, because your body and mind make you do some crazy things when it comes to pregnancy. So you keep doing it. So I don't have anything that stands out to me.
Yeah.
That is, like, that was huge. I mean, I am somebody, I enjoyed it. I thought it was really cool. You know, but, and I have like the normal complaints that I think most women have about like nausea and weird swelling and that kind of stuff. And just, you know, being ready to like be able to drink as much coffee or alcohol as I would like. And
you were done. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, it's a very cool experience. And I think the cooler thing now is like seeing Indy and then thinking about being pregnant and being like, that was him. Like that, like that is just, to me, it's mind blowing. I'm like, how was that little person that we didn't know who he was? And now he's got a full personality.
He does. And it's amazing in general, just because, like I said, you always keep people in such a category as you're growing up with them. So it's like, you just, I don't know why. I just always thought you and me in general just be like, you don't have to have kids, you're fine. So then that happened with you. I was like,
you're like, what's happening with me then?
Exactly. But then look, you and me, you know me in general, like, hell no. But I'm very good at being fine with being auntie. But my sister did it 3 times. So trust me, I'm sure she doesn't remember the majority of it either. But every time I try to ask her, she gets like, give me details. She'd be like, I don't know. Like, they're here, they're helping.
I gave, not that long ago, I gave a group of people details, and like, because they were asking questions, and I was like, I can share with you. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I guess if you have multiple, it does blend, because like you, my sister didn't originally plan her first, but then the other two just were like, hey, they just came. So I'm happy for it though, because my oldest one, I don't know if I told you, but Alexa got a full ride to UArts.
So, wow, that's exciting.
So she's going to be doing.
That's amazing.
Yes, it is amazing. Full ride anywhere, because I had a partial scholarship when I was there. But anyway, but back to you. I wanted to move on.
Congrats to her.
I want to talk about sports wise. Have you been in touch with anything? I know with the West Coast, there's probably not obviously a big like sports swell, but what is it like being a sports fan on the West Coast? Because I can imagine it's not as intense as here in the East Coast.
It's not as intense, and Daniel and I were like, of course, I got him kind of into football. And especially being out here, it was hard because we didn't have TV for a while and we still don't have cable. So we would have to go to places to watch the game or try and watch it on our laptop. And then since COVID, we like have not paid attention to anything. We watched a little bit of the Dodgers. We go to Dodgers games. I've tried to go to, have we gone to a Rams game? No, I tried to go, but it was like we couldn't make it work because I had just had a baby. And I just I don't follow anything anymore. I think it's hard not having TV. I'm not like commuting to be able to listen to the radio.
Right. No, I try to be your little
Like,
communication when it was during the season, but as you can see, you didn't miss shit with the Eagles.
no, oh my God. What I did follow, like occasionally we would watch something and I was like, this is just so sad to watch.
Ages right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And like we watched the Dodgers
when
when they were in the World Series. We watched the Lakers when they were in the championship series a little bit, but that's just like kind of a fun activity, you know. But yeah, it's different. Like we went to the one of the last things we did last March before quarantine. I think we went on like March 10th, was going to a Sixers game at the Staples Center. They played the Clippers. And that was really fun. But so we like going to the events. We just don't really follow as much anymore. Or I don't personally.
What was it like hearing about Kobe dying?
Oh, that was crazy. We were actually in Disneyland that day, and it was when I read it, I had like gone to the bathroom and I was checking my phone, you know, like my news came up.
Yep.
And it said that he had died in a helicopter crash. And I was thinking, like, it is so foggy today. Why would anybody fly in a helicopter? And interesting, my brother-in-law is you know, Carl, he flies like small planes, you know, just like for fun.
Okay.
And he was saying that like sometimes people feel pressured depending on who like their client is, right, to like, you better, you know. So yeah, that was crazy, and it was pretty sad, but you know, really awful, all the kids that were in the helicopter,
the families. Yeah. And it's even, well, even I'm sure it's even rough if you're a hardcore Laker fan, especially. That's the only thing I know about as far as passionate fans, Laker fans. But seeing the murals that I'm seeing are all over the place, on TV everywhere. But the poor family,
there are tons of murals everywhere.
Yeah, but the other family, you know, definitely not as famous. You're not gonna put
no, there were a couple families. Yeah, there was like one of her teachers, his daughter's teachers, another set of parents with their daughter. Yeah.
It's just it was crazy.
Just wild. It made me never want to get in a helicopter, that's for sure.
Look, how about it's been so long since I even remember flying? So you really think I was really excited to go on a plane after that? Like, and I understand the circumstances were different, but I can imagine people when that happened. Not knowing that was him yet. Because at first they made it sound worse than it was. They made it sound like it was him, and not everybody in the plane. And it got worse, you know, because it's part of TMZ, and you know, people make the details worse than they are. But
yeah, well, it was weird. Like I think some people were like taking parts of the helicopter to try and sell them, and
taking pictures.
And I remember reading that like news article, and that was only maybe 2 hours after the plane or helicopter had crashed. So that news got out so fast. I can't imagine that the families knew what had happened before reading it on the news.
It's horrible. It's horrible. Vanessa's already coming for people now. She got lawsuits now because those deputies that circled the bodies of the pictures they took of Kobe, and they were trying to pass them around. She's suing them.
Who is?
Vanessa. Because she knows, you know, as soon as it got out, she found the names of the guys in charge on that day, and she's about to sue them. So yeah, she's rounding up details as she gets more, I guess, acceptance of it. But yeah, I mean, it was horrible. I just wonder what it was like for everybody, because on the East Coast we felt it. So I can imagine West Coast people.
Yeah, it was definitely big out here.
Yeah. So and lastly, what and now that we're in a new year, I don't feel like it feels too much different other than the fact that the vaccines are out. I personally am not rushing to get one, but it's not like I'm not going to get one, because I know I'm going to want to be out and social, because I don't want to spend another summer inside. Are you thinking about getting the vaccine, or are you kind of still like about it?
We'll get one. We just want to make sure that we're waiting our turn. You know, we're not in a high risk category.
Right.
Yeah. So we've been able to, like, we don't go out a ton anyway, and now it's really hard to get a babysitter, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
But I'm like, we can trade off and on and have some people help, and we're able to live like somewhat normally. You know, I can still go hang out with friends. It's just everything is outdoors.
Right.
So I don't feel like, and I'm not in a I'm not in a job where I need to be indoors a lot.
Right.
Sometimes there's indoors, but because we live in LA, we kind of have the luxury of being outside year round.
Yep.
So
I'm telling you, every time I think about living there, I'm just like, yeah, it would be perfect to be in Cali, because to me, living indoors is not a penalty. But at the same time, it'd be hard not to want to go to the beach every now and then, just get outside. If I got to go somewhere, I would want to go to the beach and just get the water.
It's hard to not go outside. You feel kind of guilty, like I should be doing something outdoors.
I think that's just you.
I don't know, when it's like
I gain
75
quarantine
every
weight.
day. Huh?
I gain quarantine weight, girl. You know how much you'll have to fight me to come out. I'm a lazy. If you were here, you'd be like, girl, you need to move. You can't take it.
I would. Yeah, but that's because you have all your isms you need to do before you leave the house. Like I left the car and I threw on flip-flops. If I'm wearing a headband, it means I haven't washed my hair in several days. And my hair is like sticking everywhere.
Yeah, I cut mine so short. That's why I got this knit head, because I didn't want you to think I look like a broccoli spear or something, because my hair is all over the place. But anyway, because I'm like, I made it
okay, well now
short.
I have to see it. So you have to show it to me, even if we're done. Okay. I still want to see it.
I'll scare you after we end this, but I wanted to just wrap it up just by saying too, I noticed that with social media and everything too, the reason why I even started doing this show, because normally I just podcast about sports and events as a fan, but I decided to call it 5 Questions, because every now and then, especially during quarantine, we all miss being able to be social. So it became my excuse to stay in touch with people, as well as people I've met through Twitter. Is there anything social media has helped you in your career, especially with the photography venture, and anything else when you took pictures of do you still do the photography for food and stuff like that?
I don't do food as much anymore. I'm actually trying to get back into that. Okay. Just a little bit, because I miss it, and I did, like, I've done some shoots for fun and I just really enjoy it. So I want to have that. It's just really hard to be able to make something, find the time to make something, and then style it and then shoot it all with tiny hands running around ruining everything.
I know, he's the best though. Those holiday photos at Indy are gorgeous, but just basically asking you, do you feel like social media has helped you with this venture? Or
for sure, that's like where I think I get like 90% of my clients is through Instagram. Right. People reach out all the time, or they see like, I want to do this kind of shoot, or I'm thinking about this, because I try and take like a approachable approach. I try and be approachable, and like, it's for my photos are for everyone. Right. Somebody told me they wanted me to take their photos because they liked how they weren't an Instagram mom, and they didn't feel like you had to be an Instagram mom for me to take your photos. Right. So as you can see, I am not an Instagram mom.
I do love the lack of
makeup, hair done, showering, and outfit coordination. I'm still in what I worked out from 9 o'clock this morning.
Well, I told Jen I love the pictures when you do of yourself or you do the videos, because I'm always shocked, because I'm so used to you always kind of being like the administrator of all this. So when I see you do something by yourself, I'm like, oh my gosh, you did a selfie. Oh my gosh, you did a video. Like, Emma's getting more comfortable.
That is definitely out of my comfort zone. Like, when they tell you like you should be talking into your camera on Instagram so people get to know you, I'm always like, I don't talk to inanimate objects on a regular basis, like expecting a response. I mean, I do kind of, but I'm not sitting there having a full conversation with one thing looking. I just kind of talk in the air.
You never know. All right, girly. I will talk to you soon.
Okay. I'm just over here like creeping inside these people's apartment. They've been like, they got